Hi Cancer, welcome to your mid-August 2022 General Tarot update. It's Raina here. It's an interesting in this deck, which is the, I can't think of the name of this deck. But anyway, the Ten of Swords is a very kind of like almost like a cheery card. It's got the yellow background. It's not all morose. Speaking of which, we got the Nine of Swords. That might be a little bit more like what I'm talking about here. Oh, wonderful. The Sun. Here comes the Sun. Okay, so the two major arcana cards that you got are the Fool and the Sun. What's interesting about the Fool is that it's at 0 points. So it means that kind of what they were talking about, I'm recording this on the Lionsgate portal. They were talking about this, being able to create from, this new, completely new position. And that can be also attitude that the person has about life. And the Sun card I see as the beginning and the end because it's 19. So we have the 1 and the 9. So the Fool is really about absolutely new beginnings. And then the Sun has, but it adds up, the Sun adds up to a 1 as well. And it's certainly, when we're talking about the Sun, we're talking about the sense of the self and the self-expression. So for Cancer people, you may have to feel that sense of being able to tolerate the unknown in order to walk in a new direction and to do new things. And Cancer, I think, is kind of a cautious sign, kind of a sign that is very acclimated to issues of security, being security minded. And what can happen in those cases is that the person can trade in who they came here to be for that sense of security. But it's like that bird in a golden cage. The cage is beautiful, but it's still a cage. The heart of the matter is the Fool card. So it's a very interesting depiction. In the Rider-Waite deck, I think the background is more yellow, which is kind of the third chakra and kind of, so being empowered. And so she does have a yellow dress, but it's got that blue background, which I love, that kind of a blue-green. I think those are Cancer colors because it's kind of like the ocean. But anyway, the Fool card, and in this deck, it's almost like the flower of life, which I think is like a mandala. I'm not sure what you would call it, but it's like a vortex. And apparently it's funny because I know I have a book by Abraham Hicks, but I've never actually read it. I have a lot of books I haven't read, but called Ask and It Is Given. But they have one called The Vortex. So they, each of their books kind of, I think, builds upon the next one, the one that has come before it. So the vortex, as I understand it, is that womb of creation where you are visualizing what you want and where you are creating the things that will manifest in the physical. And so that's how they, seems like they're kind of riffing on that with that design. And the thing about the 0 is that it's an unknown quantity or quality. So you have to kind of step out on faith when you're dealing with the Fool card. And if you really think about it, Cancer, why not? I mean, it doesn't have to be the most irresponsible or foolhardy type of decision, but at least something that really flips the script in your life and takes you out of your comfort zone. In the past position, we have the Ten of Swords. So an example of this, I know someone who is a Cancer who was in a long-term marriage. I think I say this a lot when I talk about Cancer because I still think that took a lot of guts. But it still is sad to me that their marriage ended because they were together for so long. But on the other hand, it's very good for self-development to not stay in a relationship that doesn't feel respectful or doesn't feel like it's growth-oriented. So if you're somebody who has been with your partner for a long time and maybe you're not happy, but you feel like, oh, well, I've been with this person since I was a teenager or since college, and we have kids together even though they're grown up. It's like justifying it on those grounds, but you feel this sense of inertia. This can be the person that decides to just walk away from something. But actually, the Ten of Swords is a betrayal, so that might be more serious, where it could be that you have dealt with betrayal from this person multiple times, but this is the coup de grace, so to speak. You're no longer willing to believe that their excuses. And, Cancer people tend to be very sentimental, so it's easy to manipulate a Cancer person by talking about the past and the good old days. But even a Cancer person can walk away from a relationship, and one reason why is because you're a cardinal sign and you do like to take action. So if somebody is not living up to their promises, I think Cancers will eventually will eventually do something. Maybe you'll go to marital therapy first, and you won't just walk out cold. Maybe you'll do that first, but you're going to do something about it. You're not just going to tolerate it. And this can apply to work matters if you feel that you were betrayed in that environment. And the higher message, the spiritual lesson in this is represented by the King of Swords. And this is about people who cannot express their emotions. So if your water sign, if you got involved with somebody that, I always associate this card with Aquarius, but the other air signs are Libra and Gemini. Gemini, I can see Libra, at least they'll fake it with the romance. But just anyone can be kind of, maybe an earth sign, can be quite detached. I'm not going to just say cold. Maybe they're not totally cold, but they might be very detached. And it could be because they just are wired that way. It's not that they're a bad person or anything like that. But if you're with somebody who is like that, and you know that they're like that when you get involved with them, you cannot expect them to change. It's not really fair to expect them to be other than what they are. Because when we get involved with somebody, we have to accept them as they are. And if there is a problem that you didn't know about before you got seriously involved with somebody, then you have to, make space for the possibility that they may choose not to quit drinking if that's the problem, or quit cheating if that's what's going on. And you will have to be the one to make the change and not just sit there and expect them to do something about it. What crosses you is the Justice card. And so, I mean, if it is possible that you have already started divorce proceedings with your partner, and maybe they're not coming along the way that you want them to, that should not deter you from persevering. It's possible that something may not seem fair to you, but it doesn't mean that that's the case. I mean, it might be that, or if it is the case, like for instance, if somebody cheats on their spouse and they don't have to, there's no penalty for that, let's say, it may be tempting for the other person to kind of drag things out, but you have to look at what is it, the ultimate thing that you're after. If it's freedom, then that would be counterproductive to what it is that you're looking for. What's coming in is the Nine of Swords. In this deck, you know, swords can relate to thoughts, and some of the cards are rather challenging, like the Ten of Swords and also the Nine of Swords, which is associated with anxiety. And then this deck, they put black birds, which is kind of nice. I mean, descriptive. Because when you think about it, your thoughts can be like vultures. They can, you know, want to feast on negative energy if you indulge in that. And of course you can't spiritually bypass. You have to experience things as they are. But there's like a fine line between acknowledging the difficulties and then wallowing in misery, feeling sorry for yourself, but also feeling helpless. The Nine of Swords, yeah, can be about anxiety. And if you can be a witness to anything that is challenging to you, it will provide you information. So one of the big pieces of information can be, you may say to yourself, I'm afraid of living alone, if that's something that you haven't done in a really long time. And then you can make space to be that supportive figure for yourself. Not that you can't enlist other people to like facilitate it or to help you at least, but ultimately you have to do that work and you have to spend time alone. And yet that can lead to strengthening your core self. So even though it might be uncomfortable at the beginning, it can lead to something really wonderful. And then the outcome card, you can see, this is such a hopeful card, the Sun card. What a great card as the outcome card, but in any position, you know, it would be great. The Sun card is arguably the most positive card in the deck. And it's about all these wonderful things in life: healing, hope, prosperity, success, love, creativity, children. You may find that you have a new lease on life. You may find yourself, you know, the Sun can be your healthy ego. You may find yourself in this process. And maybe you are the one with the Fool card who is taking that leap of faith. You don't know where you're going to land, but you have to take it. You feel compelled to take it. And you may feel like this betrayal or this situation was right on time. It may take a while to get there because, you know, the initial shock of being betrayed, you know, when we talk about betrayal, usually we're talking about somebody that we know. So it feels really bad when we trust somebody and they double cross us. But sometimes that's what happens, whether we like it or not. And we have to decide how we're going to choose to respond to that. Are we going to stay like the Nine of Swords? Are we going to just be in panic mode? Or are we going to rejoice like the sun? And really like tune into the self. What you came here to be. And same thing with work matters. If somebody betrays you at work, it may be time to go. And the King of Swords can be, you have to be very stoic. You can't allow your emotions to dictate things because the emotions are reptilian. They're very, very deeply ingrained. And they just kind of, you just react to situations, but it's not necessarily for your highest good. Okay, that's what I have for you, Cancer. I hope that this resonated. If you would like a private reading, the link is below. Take care. Bye.